when this is planned on.
Well, hey there, fam. Welcome to You Plant, We Water. I am your host, Dr. Toya Flowers, licensed professional counselor with a PhD in counseling, and I'm also a professor of, you guessed it, counseling. And as you know, here in this corner of the world, we are focused on talking about issues that combine our faith, our mental health, and that help us to have the happy, healthy, thriving relationships that God truly wants for you. And in doing so, we always try to cover things from the petty, professional, and the prophetic lens. I am so excited this season of life. We can almost call this like season two of the show, actually, as well. But we have great things coming. We have our Her Women's Conference. We can pull up the save the date. That would be fantastic. And Her, which stands for Healing, Exhortation, and Restoration, is a free women's conference that we look forward to doing once a year. This year's theme is Take Me to the King, turning your pain into purpose, right? And this is coming from Esther 4:14, where it says, perhaps it was for such a time as this that you were made royal. So the grief, the injustice, the pain that you felt, maybe it is more for God to position you for your next season than it is about the pain itself. If that sounds good to you, please do join us on Saturday, May 2nd, 2026, from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at Shepherd's Community Church in Harvey, Illinois. We're going to have free continental breakfast, praise and worship, keynote speakers, breakout sessions, panels, prayer, altar call, you name it. We are praying and seeking God daily for this to be a transformational experience for all of our attendees and the speakers. And I'm telling you, we have some dynamite speakers lined up. I mean, truly fantastic. So stay tuned for more information about that. What is our topic today? Well, today's topic is 12 relationship myths that quietly destroy satisfaction. Again, that's 12 relationship myths that quietly destroy relationship satisfaction. So, for instance, here's just a brief example before we dive in. If we love each other, it should be easy. I should have had a little button where I could have, not true, right? Because relationships are hard work. So let's take a look. I got these particular 12 from, believe it or not, from Katie Couric. She has a page. I don't remember what her page is called, but these 12 relationship myths were put together by none other than John Gottman. And John Gottman is huge in the field of counseling, especially as it relates to couples counseling. He and his wife, who are both psychologists, created many of the theories that we use to help bring about change when we are working with couples. So I'm going to put on my little glasses here and we're going to dive right in. Relationship myth number 1, right? Where's my? I don't see it. So we might have 11 relationship myths. No, we still have 12 because I started with one. If we love each other, it should be easy. Does conflict mean you're incompatible? No. Just because you have conflict in your relationship, that does not mean you're not meant to be together or you're incompatible or it's time to end things. Conflict is a natural part of any relationship. You're two different people with two different life experiences, two different worldviews coming together. My mom used to joke and say, if you're ever in a relationship with someone who's just like you, one of you is unnecessary. Right? So you don't want someone who agrees with everything that you say and do. That's not going to push you to growth and development. Sometimes it's those sharp edges, that conflict that pushes us into our full calling, that iron sharpening iron, right? That means it's got to be rubbing up against each other to really get that to happen. So just because you're in love doesn't necessarily mean that it should be easy. I think a good way, as I'm thinking about this, to think about that particular myth is sometimes believers think because I'm a Christian or because I'm a believer, my life should be easy. And we know that is certainly not the case, right? So, in love. All right, so let's see what else we have here. Number two, living alone with occasional relationships is a lifestyle choice that is equivalent in terms of life outcomes being married, right? So living alone and having, a series of relationships here and there has the same benefits as being married to someone. And this is a myth, right? So, what we have found is that those who are actually in married couple relationships, there are so many what we call psychosocial and emotional benefits, meaning these individuals tend to live longer, especially men. Yes, men, you benefit the most from marriage. Men who are married have a longer life expectancy. They tend to have fewer illnesses and diseases. They tend to report a greater overall satisfaction with life. The same is true for women, but the statistics really truly skyrocket for men. So there are many, many benefits to being married, right? To not just having a series of monogamous relationships, but finding that partner and having that covenant relationship. And it makes sense. Y'all know I love it when the science backs up what the Bible has to say, right? And so God has said it all. The science backs it up. Okay. Let's see what else. Yeah. Number three, if you have conflicts, does that mean you're in a bad relationship? This is similar to what we just kind of talked about, but I want to further that conflict is inevitable in all relationships. I don't think there's a single person on the planet that you can be in a relationship with and never have a conflict. So it's less about the conflict and it's about how do you have the conflict? How do you learn to fight fair? Having conflict and fighting does serve a purpose, and it's not a bad purpose. But how do you do so in ways fair where you're not completely decimating each other in the process, right? How do you learn not to go for the jugular kind of a thing? Okay. I don't know what I'm on. Number four, love is enough. Love is enough because that's all we need, right? That's what all the songs say. And a myth. For a lasting, long term, stable couple relationship, love can be the foundation, but you are absolutely going to need more than that. You're going to need a foundation of friendship and companionship, respect. I want you to think about young couples, especially after a baby arrives. All the courting stops, the dating, and things like that. And so it can feel like your relationship is just a series of endless to do. We have to get that done. We have to get that done. So it's essential to recognize that love is something that we all hope and strive for. It should be at the core of any relationship. However, it is not going to be enough. And most importantly, why it's not enough is we absolutely need God in our relationship, right? Marriage is three strands: you, your partner, and God, a covenant relationship, because it is my belief, and I have seen a lot of evidence about this, especially I would say in the last 10 years. The enemy is out to destroy marriages, right? You can destroy that marriage. You can have a multi-generational impact on many on the children and their children and their children as a result of breaking that covenant relationship. Relatedly, we know that the Bible says that where two or three are gathered, God is in the midst. So in a marriage relationship of two believers, God is always in the midst. And that couple could be powerful. They could be a legacy couple. They can provide deliverance to one another, pray, all of these things. So coming after the marriage is a great trick of the enemy. All right. Talking, I gotta put my glasses back on. Number 5, talking about past emotional wounds will only make it worse. Myth. It is really important that we talk about our past relationship experiences, especially the wounds, because the past is a lie. The past is never dead. The past shows up in our current relationships, especially if it's things we haven't dealt with, right? So, I don't know, let's say prior to your finding your life partner, right? Let's say that in all your previous relationships you were cheated on. You're going to bring that into your current relationship, and it might look like distrust, something that has absolutely nothing to do with the current relationship you're in, but it's important to talk about it. So, as we've talked about, because that partner can be iron sharpening iron, once you've shared those past hurts and those past wounds and notified your partner of that, they can help you. When they see that stuff coming up, you can come together and they can say, babe, listen, I know you're feeling distrustful. That's not me. That has nothing to do with me. This is stuff that's coming up from the past. How do we work on this together? Or I don't know, maybe they're overly stingy with their resources or time. And maybe that's because they were taken advantage of, or they came across a gold digger in the past. You can really help affirm, like, hey, be here with me. That has nothing to do with what we have going on. But to neglect it and not have conversations about it is a very, very bad idea. Number 6, better relationships are ones in which people are more independent of and less needy of one another. True, false? It's a myth, right? You want to find the right balance. Obviously, you don't want to be completely dependent on your partner, but an interdependence is necessary. And what is meant by interdependence is when the two people in the couple relationship try to meet one another's needs. They might adopt a motto such as, when you're hurting, baby, the world stops and I listen. Meaning that I'm not completely dependent on you to fulfill all my needs, but I can't be having a great day and living my best life if I know that you're hurting and you're my partner, right? I want to see you win just as much as you want to see me win. So that is going to be an essential piece as well. All right. Number 7, if you have to work at communication, it's a sure sign that you're not soulmates. This is a myth. The sure thing is that if you don't work at communication, your relationship 100% will deteriorate over time. It has nothing to do with whether you're soulmates or not. Um, Communication is something that we really have to learn, right? Because a lot of times when it comes to communication, we are spending So much of it trying to win, trying to prove that we're right instead of trying to learn to listen for understanding or listen for, here's the best part, resolution. Most of the time, that's what I spend teaching my couples, right? How to set aside your agenda and actually listen so that your partner can feel seen and heard. This is where that word empathy comes in. And empathy really just means, can I truly try to put myself in your shoes and imagine what it's like to be you? And if I am doing that when we are trying to communicate, just imagine how that's going to shift the dynamic, especially when there's conflict. But remember, communication is not just about conflict, it's just about day to day and being able to talk or finding someone that you could truly talk to, that you can share the highs and lows of your days. And if you find someone who you could be truly vulnerable with, you've got something special there. All right, myth number 8. If a relationship if a relationship needs therapy, it's already too late. This is a myth. I'm going to read to you what they have here. There are 900,000 divorces a year in the United States, and fewer than 10% of those couples who divorce have ever talked to a professional. So, of the 900,000 divorces that take place per year, 90% of them have never sought out a professional. They've never had counseling. Couples therapy is incredibly effective, and many of those couples may have been able to make it work had they given it a try. So, the idea that, oh no, it's over, we need counseling or we need therapy, it's too late for us, could not be further from the truth. Oftentimes, what I want to encourage you is to seek counseling early on and often, because what we typically see, now mind you, only 10% of couples are ever going to even come and see a professional. And of those 10%, what the research has shown is that by the time they come to see a professional, they have been experiencing problems on average from 5 to 7 years. Now, if couples therapy can be effective when people aren't coming until they've had 5 to 7 years worth of relationship problems, just imagine how effective it could be if you came in year 1, or better yet, before you even have any problems. It is my personal mantra. I would like to see couples therapy and counseling in general treat it much like we treat our body and physical health, right? We don't always wait until we need surgery or until we're in dire straits or we're, I don't know, have some truly debilitating disease before we go see a doctor. But we go regularly for checkups. We go once a year, even if we're not feeling anything, just to make sure we're being preventative. That is the way I would absolutely recommend couples approach things. So if you're not having problems now, fantastic. If you're a new couple and you're not having problems, fantastic. Get yourselves a counselor now. Go in once a year. Go in once a year so you can talk about what are your goals as a couple for this next year. What things do you want to see do better? What are your strengths that you really love? Build that foundation. Don't just wait until it's, you're at approaching or strongly considering divorce. Although, even if you get to that point, still come in. Remember, 900,000 divorces, and more than 90% of those folks are never even getting any professional help. Okay? Number 9. What couples fight about most is sex, money, and in-laws. This one is really good because it's kind of true and it's kind of not, right? A lot of times couples are fighting. Finance is a big one a lot of times. Obviously, sex or intimacy is a big piece of couple relationships, other familiar relationships. But the truth is, what couples fight most about, according to this, is really nothing or anything, right? Fights often stem from, I quote here, failed bids to connect emotionally. And it's in those small moments that it's important to turn towards your partner instead of turning away, right? So most of the time we're fighting about a failed attempt at connecting with your partner, right? Maybe you wanted to spend time with them during the day and they didn't realize that you were bidding for connection, so they just kind of said, "I'm busy," or what have you, and then you're feeling wounded, and now you're fighting, right? So it doesn't necessarily have to be over those top three things. It could be about anything. All right, three more. Myth 10: all relationship conflicts can be resolved. Uh, no. In fact, there are certain things you're going to have to learn to agree to disagree. And in the field, we call those perpetual problems or disagreements. That's okay. Just because it's something that you both see completely different doesn't mean it's something you have to continue to fight about. And this is when having a professional counselor can be really helpful to help you navigate that, right? Because according to the stats, 69% of relationship conflicts are perpetual, or meaning it's something that keeps recurring, something that you argue about over and over again. And all you really have to do is accept that you each have a personality difference there. And that's what we help folks with, to move past that gridlock and any built up resentment. Number 11, all relationship conflicts are the same. False, right? And you all probably know this. That's definitely a myth, because some conflicts are complete deal breakers, right? Perhaps in your relationship, infidelity is a deal breaker, point blank, period. When that happens, we're done. Or maybe it's a deal breaker if it's some other type of betrayal or deceit or addictions or what have you. But not all conflicts are the same. And for those things that are not deal breakers, that's when we're going to look towards compromise. But when it's something that's a deal breaker for you, it's going to be pretty difficult for us to find some areas of negotiation there. All right, myth 12. It's compatibility that makes relationships work. False. It's diversity, actually, that makes relationships interesting, because we're never looking for someone to be just like us. And what the research shows is that we find people most attractive who are the most genetically different from us, right? Because it seems that these are the qualities that we find interesting or intriguing. So being the same, right? Being highly compatible. We think the same. We're the same age. We have the same ethnic background. We are in the same field. We have the same level of education. Completely not necessary. And often it's the opposites that attract, right? I'm thinking of that little circle. I think it's called yin and yang. It's black and white, and they come together like that, like a unique puzzle piece. Because that just it's great when you can find a partner who adds to you and fills in the areas that maybe you are weak in, and you fill in the areas that they are. So those are 12 relationship myths that we have successfully debunked here tonight. And what's important is that, what would I say? The underlying thing I want you to know is, if you've got somebody that you love, fight for them, right? What do I mean by fight for them? Don't fight with them, fight for them, which might look like fighting with them, but be committed. Stay in there, seek counseling if you need it. Try to listen for understanding and not to win. Just let them, just show up for your person, right? Because again, the enemy is out attacking and seeking whom he may devour, right? And marriages are particularly susceptible because they are the closest thing that mirrors our relationship with God, right? The closest thing here on earth. So I'm wishing and praying for longevity, happiness, wholeness, and healing for all the marriages out there and all the marriages to come. Again, please be sure to visit our page, our Facebook page, You Plant We Water, for more information regarding our upcoming free women's conference taking place on Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. When I tell you all, we've got 6 absolutely dynamic speakers. This is, man, I just can't tell you how excited I am about it and how I've seen God moving already as this conference is coming together. So you definitely want to make sure to be there. Registration is required, but the conference is completely complimentary, but space is limited. So definitely start making plans for that. And we should have a website launch and flyers coming out very soon that are going to have a lot more information for you there as well. So be sure to visit our Facebook page, You Plant, We Water. You can message me there if you are interested in counseling, if you have a topic that you'd like for us to explore here on the show, or if you simply have comments about something that we have shared or discussed. Before we go, I want to tell you what you can look forward to. Some topics we're going to explore very soon are love shouldn't hurt, but growth often does. So as always, thank you so very much for tuning in. Looking forward to, like I said, I'm naming this season 2. I think it's been about a year that we've been on, and as you know, we have covered so many things, some of which we'll touch on. But man, y'all, I'm holding back because there's so much God has in store, so many big things that are ahead that I know you all are absolutely gonna love, and I can't wait till God has released me and said it is time to launch those things and share them with you. But when I tell you we got big things ahead, we got big things ahead. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, you plant and we water.
Go to your Apple or Google Play Store and download the WVTC Gospel Radio app today. You can also say, Alexa, play WVTC Radio Skills.
Would you like to play WVTC Radio Network?
Absolutely. Download it today.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ, WVTC Allsip Chicago, and iNetworks Communication Station.